Mike podcast is back, and welcome for the first time someone who probably has a knockout of the year. If you haven't seen it, one of the absolute dirtiest, most disgusting, amazing counter knockouts in Cage Warriors history. Welcome to the show for the first time, Baris Adiguzel. How are you, sir?
Hi everyone, I'm good. Everything good. And you?
I'm good. I'm good. So let's get right into it, man. What was it like for you? Obviously you go very viral in that fight, a great knockout. What is the feeling, if you can take me through, what's the feeling when you land a knockout like that? Then you go to the locker room, the fight's over, you pick up your phone and it's everywhere.
I'm not gonna lie, you don't really realize when you go to the locker room. I'm not gonna lie, for 2, 3 days, I don't realize what I did, how it comes. I don't realize, the video go everywhere in the world. That's really, really crazy. So, but now the most important is the future, what I'm going to do in the next fights. That's the most important.
Yeah, super excited to talk to you about not just that knockout, but just your career. And with that being said, man, all of your wins, you're 4-1, all of your wins have come in the first round. That's
Yeah.
great for someone your age and just starting off in your career. Do you feel like maybe sometimes you're like, I wish it would go a little longer, like because you want to be able to display more or learn more or showcase more,
Yeah.
or do you just like getting in there and finishing these guys super quickly?
I have a game into that I finish quickly. That's in my ground game, in my striking. Um, I don't know how, but that's my game. I try to finish fights. I don't just here, try to go to the decision. Every time in my mind when I go to a fight, that's for finish. That's why, since kid, when I was 17 years old and I start fighting, everyone was excited when I fight because everyone know that when I fight, it's an excited fight, because I try to finish fights. I have a lot of fights when I go to the ground, like I'm little bit boring, so I stand up like, but I'm in the top and I just stand up and fight again, like doing back fist, all this stuff. So that's my feelings. I don't like boring fights. So I try to finish fights. I go for it.
You're every promoter's dream because every promoter wants a fighter like you. What has it been like though? Obviously, this fight being with Cage Warriors and just kind of coming up young in your career, because not only are you doing this for you, obviously for family, for friends, for everyone around you,
Yeah,
but you talked about the future. When you're
yeah.
putting on these big fights and you're having these first round finishes, are you sending a message to promotions, whether that be over here with the UFC or PFL or whatever? Are you sending them a message like, listen, I come here to finish fights, I come here to win, and you need to take notice of me?
Of course. That's the goal is to go in to become one of the best in the world. I just don't want to be just like a fighter. That's not my dream. I don't just want to be an MMA fighter, professional MMA fighter. No, I just want to let my name into this game. I want to let my name. So I work hard. I work really, really hard, three times a day. I'm doing all I can do to putting into this show, to become one of the best in the sport. So I'm gonna continue training hard, and for sure, in after my couple future fights, for sure, I want to finish. I want to finish into the best organization in the world. That can be UFC, PFL, everything.
Now, with that being said, you have had your last two fights with Cage Warriors. What has that
Yeah.
experience with Cage Warriors been like for you?
That was great. That's maybe the best organization in the Europe. So being into this big organization is really great, and it's more great to put one of the best knockouts of the organization. So now I'm in the hype trend. Also now it's really really excited. For me it's really exciting. So maybe I'm gonna continue with the Cage Warriors. I don't know. I don't sign with them yet. So let's see what's gonna happen. My manager Mason Camp is going to do the work. So I'm waiting.
I know this is a Mason thing, but I'll ask you: would you like to continue with Cage Warriors right now?
Yeah. I really believe that I can take the bantamweight title really quick, finish all these guys and going and take the belt and going to the UFC for sure. So yeah, when I'm talking about this, I'm excited, So I have my heart going fast, So I really wait for it. That's a dream, That's first of all when I start fighting, that was a dream, That was it. Now that's a goal. That's not a dream because I really believe that I can achieve these goals, So yeah, I'm gonna continue training more harder than I do before. So and I'm gonna achieve all these dream
From dreams to
goals.
goals, I like that. From dreams to
Yeah,
goals, I like that a lot.
yeah,
With all this being said, man, obviously you're training in France now, and I know you've trained at
yeah.
MMA Factory. Do you have any good stories from your time there?
In MMA Factory?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just go one time there when I was in Paris. I go for a 1 week. So I go in a lot of gyms and big stories now, but I spar with a lot of tough guys there. That was not easy, but not a big story there, But that was really tough. This gym is really tough, but I'm in a big gym too, where I'm training. We have UFC fighters, the best fighters from France, Europe. So I'm training with a lot of tough guys. So you are gonna hear more about them in the future.
Well, hopefully, this interview and all your performances, we'll hear more about you moving forward because I think you're one of the most exciting
Yeah,
young fighters in the world. I do want to ask, obviously, I bring up MMA Factory. Long time ago, obviously, the man who took over combat sports world last week, Francis Ngannou, used to train there.
yeah.
Did you watch the boxing fight against him and Tyson Fury?
Yeah, I watch only like seven last rounds.
Yeah.
And if I have to tell one thing about this for me, the MMA fighters is more exciting than boxers, the boxers.
It's hard to
That's
argue
for
that.
sure.
As someone who trains in Europe and who has been, in France and all of that, if you take that and then you combine it with the fact of you've been training MMA, this is your, like you said, this is you're going from dreams to goals. This sport
Yeah.
is your sport, and he came from your sport and went into another sport and put on an incredible showing as an MMA fighter, especially training where he's trained from. Do you feel a little sense of pride? Like, yes, our sport is a lot better. Us athletes, us fighters, MMA fighters are a lot better than we're given credit for.
For sure, we are more complete fighters. That's what I can say. That we are more complete fighters. In street fight, we can we can finish these guys for sure. But yeah, when if they come to our sport in MMA, they cannot do one round. But if we go into the sports in the boxing, we can do it for six, maybe eight, maybe 10 rounds. So that's the big difference. I think we are more complete fighters.
That, and then if you look back at the fight, Tyson Fury landed an elbow on Francis that should have
Yeah,
had a point deduction,
that
and
was crazy.
Francis just ate it. He was just like, okay.
Yeah. That was
uh,
crazy moment. Yeah,
yeah, it was. And good for MMA, and that's something I just wanted your opinion on because
yeah,
I think well, now we're seeing Sean O'Malley in the UFC call out Tank Davis and all these other
yeah.
boxers and Devin Haney. And it's like people, I think we need to get over in the boxing world, need to get over the notion of these MMA guys think they can do it. I think we know for a fact these MMA guys can box.
Yeah, for sure. But I really believe that that's more about money. That's not only just about, fighting boxing guys, or fighting in boxing. I think more it's all about money, fighting boxers to put, to just make big monies. But I really believe that in MMA we can make big monies, but you have to be an excited fighter. You have to be a fighter who finish fights. You cannot come and doing every time three rounds, 5 rounds, doing wrestling for 5 rounds and trying to make the million. So you have to try to finish fights.
I do want to step outside of the cage and outside of the sport for a second. I do want to ask you, being in Europe and being on the other side of the world, and there's so much chaos going on in this world, and pretty much everywhere outside of the United States. As someone who is a professional MMA fighter and puts on for his people, his country, where he trains and everything, how do you stay focused and not get caught up? Because, one thing I love about this sport is so many times fighters can speak on their own behalf. They can speak for their opinions. They can speak on their own platform. They don't have to worry about, like here in the States with football and basketball, everything's kind of censored and monitored. People can't really say anything, otherwise they get in trouble. So as a fighter, when there's so much chaos going on in the world, how do you stay focused, and how do you use your fights to send a message of your thoughts and your feelings?
You can use your Instagram, your Twitter. If you have, you have more followers, you can talk more about everything. You have the power to talk to people when you have a lot of followers or fans, everything. So I really believe that an MMA fighter can use his social medias, to talk about this because a lot of people like them and admire them. So I think it can be a really good how we can say it, something to use to talk about everything in the world. That's not for just only MMA. We can talk about everything about what's happening in the world.
And what's it like for you when there's so much going on, especially kind of over in Europe and, like I said, on the other side of the world, that you just lock in and you go, listen, it's horrible what's happening in the world right now, but I've got to
Hmm.
fight. I've got to go focus on a fight. And
Yeah.
maybe after, does it push you a little harder because you just don't know?
Of course, it push harder, but I really believe that it's something different, fighting and everything's happened because, when you are locked in the cage, you think about nothing, it's like something is dark, you feel nothing. When I knocked the guy out, I was running in the cage, going and enjoying because the guy was like shaking and I was like running everywhere, so that's something really crazy, it's really dark moment, so you don't really in this moment you just enjoy and you don't really feel something about everything in the world, but after a win and after everything goes down and in this time you think about everything and telling that a win is nothing, a lose is nothing when people is dying everywhere, so it's really difficult.
Well, I appreciate you being so open about that. So let's talk about the future. Obviously, it's November here.
Yeah.
What's are you done for the year? Do you want to just come back early 2024? What's your plan for the future?
Yeah, that's that. I want to be really active. I'm young. I'm only 24. I have to fight every 3 months, every 2 months. So we can have a fight in January, so we can come back with the better preparation, better hard work, so we can put a big performance again. So yeah, maybe January can be great.
I know you talked earlier about wanting to be the best in the world, fighting on the biggest stages, and all of
Yeah.
that. Now, there's a lot of rumors going on, and rumors are never good. But I'm just going to ask you about them anyways. But the rumor is PFL will be buying Bellator, and they're also going to be doing just a PFL Europe
Yeah.
outside of the PFL that they do here in the States. If 2024 comes around and they buy Bellator, that's a big influx of European fighters that they can have just in Europe for PFL Europe. Would that excite you to join? And I know everyone at one point always just wanted to join the UFC. I think the PFL has built up a good competition base. If you bring in a
Yeah.
Bellator roster, I think that helps that. But would you be excited to join a PFL Europe and then compete against Europe's best and prove that you are the best of the best in a PFL Europe division?
I don't really saw the division in the bantamweight in PFL Europe, so I don't really look on this. But I really believe that there is one of the best, like you say, best bantamweights uh, in Europe in PFL. So I don't really know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if the paycheck is good. That's for sure. It's going to be good. So I'm young. I can do like couple fights there, couple fights in other organization, and going for the real goal after. So I
So
don't
there's no
know.
rush
That can
for
be
you.
everywhere.
There's no rush. You'll
What?
fight. You'll fight anywhere. You'll
Yeah,
fight anyone. There's no rush for you.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. I'm young. I'm only 24. But I before before when I was 22, something like this, I get injured, so I stopped the fighting like for 2.5 years. So that was really, really hard moments for me because I start my career, with two finishes in the first round in 2 months, and I try to fight again like 2 months after, and I start breaking my foot, my arm, my knee, everything. So for 2.5 years I don't fight, and this year, I have a friend who call me and he say, yeah, you wanna fight this weekend? And I say, oh, imagine, yeah, you have a fight, and if you want, let's go come back fighting, And I was not ready, I was not trained, I was nothing. So I say, yeah, let's go. I want to try again the sport. So I just finished the fight in with an Americana, and I broke the arm. So I say, yeah, I cannot I cannot stop the sport like this. I have to let my name into the sport. So I start training again and fight and fight.
I want to ask you about that then. When you're off for 2.5 years, but you're so young, what
Yeah.
were those times like for you? Obviously, you can't rush back. You got to let your body heal, but mentally and kind of maybe not as much physically, but mentally and emotionally, what was it like being out of the sport for that long when you started off so well?
And that was really difficult because I start studying everything when I was 18. For the sport, I train hard and hard. I don't work, I do nothing with my hands. Only I was able to punch someone. That was only thing I can do. And when you have only 21, 22, and you have big injuries and you cannot no fight no more. That was really, really hard moments mentally, physically. I get a couple operation. That was really, really difficult moments. But you know, that's my destiny. I believe in God, and that was my destiny. And I was waiting for this moment when I start the sport, and I was like, every time I get a feeling that, yeah, one day I'm gonna achieve my goals. So yeah, I was trying to stay mentally strong. Every time when I get injured, I was trying to stay mentally strong.
What would you say is the biggest thing you learned during your time away?
When I was away, that I have to be strong mentally. That was one of the biggest thing. So, and maybe the most important, that dreaming, not stop dreaming. You have to dream. Maybe you are injured in the bed, like crying, but you have to continue dreaming. Because if you stop dreaming, everything is finished. But I continue doing this, and I was believing in myself. I believe in myself every time. I believe a lot of guys, who was believing in myself, stop believing in myself. And when I get injured, everyone, I get nobody around me, nobody. But I was um I was only me in the bed, and I was dreaming and telling that I'm gonna achieve my goals one day. So that was the most important thing.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah,
that's very exciting. And I love that for you. And obviously happy you're back. Like I said, I think you're one of the very best young, exciting prospects in the sport. I would love to see you fight everywhere.
yeah,
And I'd like to see you back here in January.
yeah.
What is obviously you said you just don't want to be a fighter, and this is a very easy question, but what is the long-term goal? What is the when it's all said and done, what would it take for you to look back and go, I achieved everything I wanted to be?
I want really, really let my name into the sport. That's really, really something I repeat in my mind. When I finish with the sport, that I said in my mind that I finished the game. That's it. I finished the game. The game, like, maybe it's not having belts, everything that when you finish, everyone like telling that this guy finished this game and he accomplished his dreams. And if my dream is to get the UFC belt, that's going to be that I get the UFC belt and I stop the sport. So I achieve my goals. So really, really, I really want to let my name into the sport.
Well, hopefully the world is watching not just after a viral knockout, because like I
Yeah.
keep saying, your performances are very impressive, and at such a young age, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to get excited for other, a lot of other fighters outside of you in your
Yeah.
division, especially over in Europe. What do you want
Yeah.
the world to know about you?
That I am an excited fighter. That's the most important thing, that when I come fights, I finish fights. I'm not only a fighter, I'm a finisher. That's the most important things, you know. So I really, really know that when I was kid, I was telling to myself that promoter likes guys like me, you know. And I was telling, when you tell it that, I smile a little bit, because I was telling this to my in my mind when I was kid too, you know. Because when I fight, you know, when I'm training, when I'm doing sparring, you know, everyone's coming and watching me, because you know, they know when I'm going to sparring, that's really cool to watch, you know. And yeah, I think that everyone's, after my couple feature fights, everyone going to understand that I'm not only a striker, I'm also a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm also a wrestler. I'm everywhere. I I'm not. I will be never scared, you know, to fight nobody, because I'm a complete fighter and I'm a complete finisher. That's the most important.
I love it. Well, you're finishing fights, you're getting them done quick and early. They're going on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and everywhere.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
keep doing that, and the future is very, very bright. And I think your
Yeah.
name will very much be heard in this sport, and people will
Yeah.
know who you are, especially come 2024. It was great talking to you
Yeah.
for the first time. I hope we could talk before your next fight. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think you've got a very bright future, and you're very fun and easy to talk to. That's key in this sport, you know. So
Yeah.
it's not always just about what you do in the cage. It's about how you carry yourself outside of it, and I think you carry yourself very well. So thank you for your time, and like I said, hopefully we
Thank
could
you
talk
too.
after or before your next fight.
Of course, of course, of course. We are gonna talk for sure before my next fight. My next fight, that's going to be for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready. You can come on here whenever you want. Like I said, you've got a fan in me,
Yeah,
man, and
great,
I'm a fan
great,
of the person and the fighter, and that's two very
yeah,
big things.
great.
So, whenever you
Thank
want
you.
to come on, and if this is it for you for the rest of 2023, have a great holiday season with you and your family. And like I said,
Yeah,
hopefully we hear some news from you in January.
yeah. The you are gonna for sure in the next couple of weeks. You are gonna hear more about my fights, about me. I'm gonna post couple videos, you know, in the future. So yeah, everyone has to be ready about me, because I'm going to be I'm gonna make a lot of noise about my name.
I can't wait. Do you want to go ahead and drop your social media, Instagram or anything, so people can follow you?
Yeah, my Instagram is like, if you can write it, it's Baris 06, you know, it's 0 and 6.
Yep.
So that's it. You know, I'm just like you said, I'm not only a fighter. I have a character. I'm a person. So I really believe that, you know, everyone's not following only the fighter. You know, a fighter is not only just a guy who finish fights. It's about everything, you know. So I think I can beat this guy, you know. So I'm gonna continue proving that after my fights.
I can't wait. Your Instagram link will be in the bio. Everyone give him a follow, Baris. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you to you. Can I say just last
Yeah,
words?
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So thank you to everyone, my team, my coaches, my family. I want to thank everyone, and you know, couple words about what's going in the world right now. You know, with the Palestinian guys. Unfortunately, what's going with them? You know, we are with them. They are not alone. You know, so I just want to talk about this. You know, in the last word. So I want to thank everyone about this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you too.